The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Yes, indeedy, less is always more right here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you,
All of
my
them.
pretties, are listening to a interrupted, constantly podcast, Damn You, Hollywood. And here's your host. He only has eyes for you, Shazbot, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Well, yes, everyone, I'm Robert, and that is Mark. He believes in Joe Hendry.
I do believe in Joe Hendry, and I made everybody in my house aware of it. And I
I
said
knew
to them,
you would.
And I said to them, by the way, your line about Joe Hendry as a Labrador who wished he was a real boy, also, two things I wouldn't stop saying during the Royal Rumble, and God bless my girlfriend for putting up with my shenanigans, but every 5 seconds, turning my daughter and my son and my girlfriend, do you believe in Joe Hendry? There was a discussion of a mutiny.
They should have mutinied if you were that obnoxious about it.
Hi, I'm Mark. Have we met?
Yeah, I just normally expect you to have at least a modicum of self-restraint in certain
Not
circumstances.
with my family and loved ones, no. I have to restrain you guys. Wait, wrong use of that word. Anyway, keep going.
There's your one.
Woohoo! Got it in early.
Not while I'm drinking, Robert. For God's sake, you try to make me do a spit take on my laptop.
If you do, I would actually forgive some of the other ridiculous things you say on here if I could get you to do an angry dragon on air.
Also joining us, Alexis Hejna. How you doing, Alexis?
Doing good. Got my nuts about corgi butts mug.
That's a very nice mug. Where'd you get
It was
that from?
a Christmas gift, actually, from my bestie from art school.
Very nice. You did a good job.
Mhm.
All right, Robert, you do your thing and I do my thing. What are we talking about
That's
tonight,
true.
Robert?
Well, Mark, we looked through the schedule and we were trying to find something worth talking about, and if The Monkey had come out this week, it would have been that. Monkey is next week, give or take, and we're seeing if we can get together and do some kind of a review that doesn't involve you because you don't seem all that interested in The Monkey, and that's okay.
My son does not want to see my kids want to see Love Hurts and Hard Eyes, so I have to fit in a double feature of that this weekend.
Ooh, I really want to see Hard Eyes.
And we will be talking about Love Hurts a week from Monday. So yes, you guys are on your own for The Monkey. My son has no interest in The Monkey.
Well, that's okay. Oz Perkins movies are not for children. Even your slightly feral. You have your children are the weird combination of very intelligent and slightly feral. That
normally I would be mildly irritated, and 6 months from now, when I'm going back over this, get really angry with you. However, when I ask my daughter, I say daughter, she says father, and I say daughter because that's what we call each other. I say I would like a coherent answer in the tongue of our forefathers, English, about this very important question I have to ask you. I would like feedback from you, daughter. I demand that you give me information. And she goes, meh, that I will accept. And then I in turn refer to her as Nell. I now will accept your assessment of my children as somewhere between genius and feral. So anyway.
Yeah, the
say
coin
the line,
shift.
Bart.
Anyway.
Say the line, Bart.
So we looked through the stuff, we looked through the releases, and we all settled on talking about a moderately interesting thriller/horror movie trailer that had come out. So we're talking about Companion.
Yes. Companion is a 2025 American science fiction thriller film written and directed by Drew Hancock. And if you don't know who Drew Hancock is, neither do I, because he doesn't have a hyperlink on Wikipedia. But you know who does? Alexis does. Say the line, Bart.
I didn't do it.
Yay!
Sorry, you set me up for that much of a punchline. Okay, this is the feature film directorial debut of Mr. Hancock. He previously has been a writer on Mr. Pickles, Faking It, Suburgatory. Wow,
Suburgatory.
yeah.
It was a film sitcom. Came out about a decade ago. I used to watch it.
Oh
good.
God, Robert, I'm sorry. He was a writer on Fred. Fred, the show.
Okay, moving on.
Not familiar enough with it to have a strong opinion.
Apparently, he was also a segment director on Jimmy Kimmel Live and the Spike TV VGA Video Game Awards, and a director on a segment of Tenacious D: The Complete Masterworks 2. So, take what you got out of all of that.
Really quick, just kind of giving a quick scan. Is this his feature film debut? His directorial
Yep.
debut?
Yes, it is.
Not a bad project. I mean, this got a heavy marketing push. This has been everywhere for quite a while. Big posters, lots of commercials, trailers. This got a heavy enough marketing push that I knew about it months ago. And
it's a fairly top level cast.
Yeah.
Good promotions. So really well done trailers.
Good on him that they took a chance on him. And some of us there think he hit it out of the park. Others maybe ground rule double. We'll get to it momentarily. In any case, it stars Sophie, Thatcher, Jack Quaid as a couple on a weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin, which unravels into chaos after a revelation that one of the guests is a companion robot. Lukas Gage, Suri, Harvey Guillén, and Rupert Friend also appear in supporting roles. Companion was released in the U.S. by Warner Brothers on January 31st and has received positive reviews from critics. More on that later. All right, Robert, we don't need to do a whole preamble here and discuss the long and storied history of sex robots. So, why don't you give us that?
I'm pretty sure when you had other podcasts that you would do, you devoted multiple episodes to this topic.
Incessantly. Facebook posts, retweets, other podcasts. I was on the street corner in a sign I wore on my shoulders, ringing a bell about it. I have been promoting the use of sex robots for at least a decade now, and I will continue to do so until I'm dead. D-E-D, dead. It is the religion I believe in.
Counterpoint. That's the death of society, and nothing good will come of it.
Can't fucking wait. Nihilism. Robert, plot synopsis.
All right, so Mark mentioned it. We start by following Isis as she recounts that the most important days of her life are when she met Jack Quaid, the human Q-tip. Sorry, just in profile, he looks like a Q-tip.
It's Iris.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
You said ISIS.
Ditto.
Would have been a much better movie if it had been.
My prediction for what the sequel will be.
And so Jack Quaid falls in love with Isis. All of Isis? All of Isis. Ugh.
Anyway, Iris.
Just remember, it's an anagram of Suri.
Just keep going, please.
So she meets Jack Quaid. They fall in love. They met at a supermarket, and we then see that we meet them as they are driving to a remote cabin up by a lake. And their relationship seems good, if strained on occasion, if you know how to read between the lines. And silliness ensues. There's the consumption of alcohol. There's the gay couple. There's the mistress to the rich Russian guy. You know, all the regular players in this kind of a thing. All we were missing was Edward Norton as an obnoxious tech bro, and we would have been complete.
Looking forward to seeing that sequel to Glass Onion coming out later this year.
Nope,
Not
I would
at
rather
all.
Ryan Johnson please stop. Just move on to something else. Yeah, God bless you for Knives Out, and all right, you kind of fouled onto first base with Glass Onion. Please stop doing this now, you hack.
Sorry, I like Benoit Blanc. I really like that character.
I like the character. I wish Ryan Johnson had actual ideas for stories involving him.
Keep going.
So anyway, the first night passes like a lot of these do. There's food, there's booze, there's sex, there's all the usual stuff. Then the next morning, and there's a lot of ominous, sort of unsettling bits of dialogue and cinematography here to try and let you know that not everything's quite on the level. So the next morning, Iris goes down to the lakefront to enjoy some time there, and the Russian dude, Sergey, wanders down and begins trying to coerce / assault her into performing various acts on him. Then we cut to Iris
To be
back
clear,
up at...
he did say he was allowed. He was quote unquote. He had permission for a taste. So because you got to paint the scene appropriately.
Yeah, something about Kat told me what you are, something like
Yes.
that. So,
And if
Allow
you
me to
haven't said it
express
yet, she's
all
also
the ways I don't care.
please work.
It's
Anyway, she's also fiddling
detail.
with. She's also fit. It's not though. Just go with it. And she's also fiddling with a knife.
Yeah,
which
she found a knife
mysteriously
in her
found
pocket.
yeah, mysteriously.
And she saves herself from this sexual assault by stabbing Sergey in the neck, like you do. I'm not even joking about that. It's a good tactic.
Well, first she knocks him out with a bottle of booze just to get him away. And when he gets up and is like, "You bitch, you hit me," he starts strangling her, and then she stabs him. So, escalation.
Again, I find it a meaningless detail.
Yes,
But
Robert, you didn't like the movie, and so you.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
But you're being very dismissive of what are important points in this particular.
You're gonna have to go real deep trying to explain to me how the detail of her hitting him with a bottle first matters all that much difference.
Oh no,
that
I
much
don't.
Difference.
That I don't care about. It was the stuff before that. Alexis,
I still don't care about that, but
keep going, buddy.
anyway, back at the house, there's a little bit of, oh no, what happened? And then Josh, who's Jack Quaid's character, says, you know, Iris, you should go to sleep. And then she turns off, revealing that she is in fact a robot. Then they tie the robot up. And what ultimately transpires is, first of all, she escapes. Because of course she does. But Josh also tells her that, yes, you're a robot. And here's how we actually met. It wasn't at a random meet cute in a supermarket where I knocked over a bunch of oranges. You were delivered by a company, and I, molded you via this app on my phone into kind of what you are. So she kind of freaks out again, escapes, runs away, and ultimately what's going on here, and this kind of comes out through a few different conversations, Kat, who is a friend of Josh's and is the mistress of Sergey, who actually is married. He's kind of rich. Everyone, Josh thinks he's a Russian gangster oligarch of some variety.
You mentioned something about my hands are dirty. My fingers are in many dirty things, which will come back into play later.
It's a bit more literal when it turns out.
Yup. One of those crazy details.
So what they had done is Josh had modded illegally his robot, which normally cannot harm either other robots or humans.
Because God bless you, Isaac Asimov.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yup. Good old Isaac Asimov's. Was it three rules of robotics?
The 3 laws of robotics.
Yeah.
So we're playing around with that, but he again kind of jailbroke and then hacked away at his companion to make it a little bit more aggressive and remove some of the safety protocols. And because he is an idiot who has never actually seen how badly this goes in science fiction stories throughout human history, decided to do this. With Sergey dead, they can then frame Iris for having done it, being a glitch in the Matrix or whatever, and they get to steal all of his unmarked cash that's in the safe in his house. That's the basic plan. That was the plan, but Iris escaped, and now things are complicated. So first they have to tell Eli, one of the fat gay guy, about their actual plan. Because he wasn't supposed to have it, he was just supposed to be a patsy there to provide them with, make everything more plausible.
Well, the main thing is they have to get the phone back from Iris because the phone still has the modifications on it, and that's evidence. So basically it's like get the phone back and then they can erase the mods and then claim whatever they want to on Iris.
Yeah. And she's stolen it, so she has disabled voice activation and changed a few other of the security settings and messed with her voice and her eye color, and
Her intelligence.
she makes herself smarter. And like most smart people, congratulates herself on the plan she inevitably comes up with, not actually thinking through the very obvious fault point in that plan. But we'll get to that later. So Eli goes, you know what? There's 4 of us now. How about we split this, $12 million 4 ways? And Josh and Kat look at him and go, your boyfriend, Patrick, doesn't count. And he goes, oh no, Patrick, go to sleep. And Patrick's also a robot.
Please tell me you guys saw that coming.
Oh, of course. Okay, can I be really insulting about this?
Why stop now? You always are.
Of course he's a robot. Someone who looks like that would never be with someone who looks like Eli.
Hey, respect for Harvey Guillén, okay? That guy's a freaking treasure. He's awesome.
Not about his personality.
We can get through this in the next 4 minutes.
So Iris is running through the woods. She tries to double back to get into a car and use that to make her escape. She's found sort of accidentally by Eli and Patrick, who confess their love to each other because Patrick is a now quasi-sentient robot who realized he's a robot. He's a defective model is what he is, bad product. But they ultimately stumble across Iris. There's a bit of a fight. Eli gets shot and he dies, and Patrick is very off-put by this. Iris tries to escape. Jack Quaid gets injured as he tries to stop her. He gets his hand slammed in a door. He gets his foot run over.
Huey doesn't suffer this badly on The Boys as much as he suffers in this movie.
He takes a little bit less physical abuse in The Boys than he does in this. That's true.
Yeah. No, I'm just becoming that in the trailer for Novocaine. I'm just starting to think, did Jack Quaid just decide to become a permanent punching bag in all of
that's
his
fucking
projects?
agent's thing now. It's just like, I got you 10 scripts. You get the shit beat out of you in all of them. Pick the one you want. Oh, God.
Exactly.
We ran a focus group. Look, if we're going to interrupt and do an hour and a half plot synopsis, I'll just do a bit now. So, Jack, we have 20 scripts here. Okay? We need you to read through these and figure out which one you get the. We ran a focus group, actually, and as it turns out, what the people really want to see, what they'll pay money for, is to see you get your ass kicked like Mick fucking Foley. There's one of them, actually, where we literally will throw you from a 12-foot cage. Jack Quaid's like, my life. I'm a voice on Lower Decks. Why? Why is this happening to me? And
at which point his dad comes in, puts a hand on his shoulder, and goes, "Well, pal." Right, that's
could be
just
worse.
For Mark. That's
could
literally
be worse.
just
You could
for
have
Mark.
him focusing on your mouth while I'm eating shrimp.
So
Sorry, a little
Iris
reference
starts
to the substance.
again.
There.
Iris starts making her escape. Josh, thinking quickly, calls and because the car is automatic. This is all super advanced. I mean, not super advanced, but super advanced.
Probably within the next 10 years.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this technology exists now. It's just not for mass consumption.
Oh yeah, none of this is super speculative. It's just if it operates in its ideal form.
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but all over Facebook the last week has been the 175,000 sex bot. We are here. We are not where they are in time. Is this stuff's more affordable? But we're here. We have that car, those robots already.
Yeah,
how many articles have you shared about in years so and so men will prefer robots to real women? I know you have shared that article.
It was the year of our Lord 2023, actually, and it's already happened. Keep going.
So her escape is cut short. Josh goes and he sets Patrick back to factory default settings because he hits the button that does that. He then makes Patrick fall in love with him, because this is all the thing is programmed to do, and sends it to go bring back Iris and the phone and all the relevant evidence. So Patrick goes off to do that while Kat and Josh begin grabbing the money, because that's what this is all about, the money. There's a poor deputy sheriff who stumbles across this car on the side of the road where it's stopped. Because as soon as he reported it stolen, it pulled itself off to the side and stopped, locked everything out, locked the doors. So this poor deputy tries to talk with her, and she switches her language to German because there's a thing where the robots can't lie. So she's speaking the truth, but not in a language that he doesn't understand. So when she confesses to stabbing Sergei in the neck, he doesn't know what she's saying.
It's a great scene.
This movie is so much better as a dark comedy when you lean into the laughs, I think.
It is a dark comedy. I took this as a horror comedy. I really did.
Almost there.
So anyway, Patrick shows up, kills the deputy by bashing his face into a fine paste.
Oh, you forgot to mention that Josh basically got rid of increased Patrick's aggression. So the whole
he ramped it up to 100%.
Yeah, so those safety features are no longer there.
Yeah, they're not there on him either. So he grabs Iris, gets the car, brings everything back to the house, and we now have to figure out how we're going to handle all this compounding catastrophe. Kat at this point goes, screw this, I'm out. Give me my half of the money and I'm walking out the door. And Josh goes, there's too much at stake here. We have to line things up. Patrick, please stop her. And Patrick goes, sure thing, boss, and knifes her in the back.
Following the literal instruction.
Yeah, because Josh is not that bright.
A lesson for all you coders out there: you have to be very specific about your commands to your machines.
They will do exactly what you tell them to do. Be very careful with that
in
power.
the most efficient way possible. This has been your PSA from your friends at We Love Robots.
That is the thing. So we get another little confrontation between Josh and Iris, where he kind of again goes over his plan. At this point, he goes the full whiny incel route that we all knew they were just waiting to go because subtlety is not a thing.
I love the line, I don't even own you. You're a rental. That was great.
That is a good line. He gets Iris to shoot herself in the head, then calls up the empathics and the cops. Well, he actually has Patrick impersonate a police officer by putting on the uniform of the dead cop. He calls in the technicians, so the poor blue-collar technicians drive out here to the middle of nowhere to pick up a defective robot that's killed people. And they just happen to drop on him. Yeah, by the way, we'll figure out what happened here. We'll get all the software. We'll get the report. We'll get all of her data logs. We'll get the recording. And he goes, wait, what recording? Well, it's in your user license. Didn't you read the user license?
Swear to God, the what will destroy humanity is that we didn't read the user agreement. That is going to be
that was a
the
joke
catalyst.
on South Park like 5 years ago. Almost there.
It was true then. It's still true now. So they take Iris's body back to their van. They plug it in. They start rebooting her so they can figure this out because all the important stuff is not actually up here on the robot. That would be silly. Up here is just like the Wi-Fi antenna and some of the handful of other bits of perceptive hardware. The actual SSDs and everything are down here. So as soon as they get out of the house as they're dragging this thing out, the young technician asks the older technician, so what do you think happened to the robot? And he goes, oh, he modded her 100%. He's screwed. He just knows immediately what exactly happened here.
Well, admittedly, the scene with Josh trying to lie to them, there is an art to being an actor and convincingly lying badly. And Josh does this great trying to explain, and it's like, you are such a bad liar, and it's adorable.
So it's even better about that scene, since we're going to stop and talk about it now instead of letting the plot synopsis finish, is the reaction of the worker. Because in so many situations or writing, you have people that do an immediate reaction, and they get hysterical, and the drama amps up. Everything that you needed to know about that scene was in that actor's face. And he knew exactly what was going on, exactly what was happening, and knew that he needed to be cool and just back out of the room. He was like, nothing I say or do right now matters. This isn't all that abnormal to me. I've seen this before. Let me just get out of this as fast as I can, but I can't send him a signal. I know what's up. So he's cool as the other side of the pillow and just backs out. And I'll tell you, it was a small, very brief performance, but it was spot on perfect for exactly what that needed to be to even feel even remotely realistic.
And here now, the problem with that reaction from the tech crew is that they don't realize that Patrick is actually one of their robots until right before he shoots them.
Yeah,
So
I
then
think he said Patrick was like an older model that they discontinued or something.
Yeah, they don't make anymore. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he shoots one of them, chases the other one, but Iris wakes up, goes a little bit after Patrick, but her factory default settings have been restored, so now she can't cause harm. But she reminds Patrick of his earnest love for Eli, and he can't take the pain of having been part of his death, so he grabs a taser, sticks it in his mouth, and pulls the trigger. Never mind that once again, the relevant things are not up here. But it's a bunch of electrical current into a machine. I'll let it go. The other technician, then, in an act of Deus Ex Machina, is a member of the group that thinks that robots are people and that they should not just be objects to be acted upon. So he gives Iris her free will and autonomy. So Iris goes to confront Josh. They fight again. Ultimately, she wins. She pulls off a damaged hand. She gets all the money because, of course, she does, and drives off in the red Mustang and waves her robot hand at another robot in an adjacent car being berated by another angry white man, because this is where we are.
I love this movie. I'm going first. I love this movie. I think this was fantastic. It's the first on my 3-point scale, and now I'm starting to keep track of this for next year. Every year I get a little bit better at this. This is a 1 on my on a 1, 2, 3. Just so you know where I'm at with these things. Section 31, a 3. Oh, woof.
Section 31 is a -5.
Yeah, this is a 1. Flight risk was a high 2. Wolf was a low 2. This is a 3. What do you call it? Yeah. Section 31's a 3. First of all, the subject matter is interesting to me. I love the idea of companion robots. I don't want to keep saying sex robots. I'm going to annoy Robert if I do. But companion robots.
Just be honest, Mark.
Well, no, because if I may speak for myself.
Okay.
They're not, and every, because I've actually done some serious reading about this, and I got to put my serious face on now. And all the research that I've done, and all the articles that I've read, and all the books that I've read on the subject, and I've read a lot. The idea is that AI humanoid type robots are not just there for intimacy. They are literally there for companionship. We're talking about as science continues to improve, we're living a lot longer. There's not enough humans to take care of each other, and so that's a job entirely almost dependent on robot technology. So we have the elder community that needs human-like interaction. That's what robots are for. There's been studies that say children learn better from purple dinosaurs than they do human teachers. And given what I have seen my ex-wife's career look like, I believe it. So there's a lot of uses for AI robot technology where humans just don't cut the mustard. And this goes in the face of other studies that go, yes, but if we do this, we're going to end up in a civilization, unless we figure out the Star Trek universe where we can exist without money, and we have replicators and stuff, we're gonna put ourselves in an economic depressive situation, the likes of which we'll never get out of. So there's a lot of things to consider with the current robot revolution we're experiencing, not just sex robots.
Well, the reason that is one of the more relevant considerations is before the economic depression wipes us out, population collapse would get us.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. The implication, and Robert said it before, and I've joked about it, but it's a real serious thing. With the collapse of the human-to-human relationship, and I can say that with just anecdotal evidence, if not, actual evidence, human-to-human relationships are collapsing at an enormous rate. Which is a whole other subject, so we're not going to get into it. But the tendency over the next generation to prefer AI companionship to human companionship is slowly but surely on the rise, and that's what the movie deals with. But the movie also deals with the fact that we are not in the Star Trek universe or the Orville universe, and that humans are still kind of shitty. So while we have all of this wonderful technology that helps humans connect and not be isolated and maintain our sanity, some of us are going to misuse it. There's a really great line in this movie about, why do people abuse these robots? And he makes a flippant remark about, some people just order one of these robots and keep it locked in the basement and torture it. The implication being we are not particularly evolved species, and we still have these psychodynamic, issues traumas we have to work through, and in some cases work through in some very violent ways. So the movie speaks to all of that. Essentially, like I said, what is supposed to just be a companion robot gets used in somebody's harebrained scheme to steal from another person.
To steal from I didn't bring it up.
Yeah,
on the
but
plot
go ahead and
synopsis,
say it.
But yeah, so one of the other like pseudo twists in this is that Sergei is not a Russian mobster or an oligarch or anything like that.
Yep.
He sells sod. Like he sells soil, dirt.
He's a dirt
farmer. Yeah, he's a dirt farmer.
Which is great, and he's like,
which is a field you can make money in, believe it or not, if you've never actually looked into what goes into making healthy soil.
Was it The Brutalist or another movie we were talking about where, as it turns out, farming is a skill?
I forget which one it was, but yeah, because the Soviets got brought up and how it was Brutalist because of because Felicity Jones' character has osteoporosis because of the famine.
Right. So anyway,
farming's a skill.
So I like the snappy dialogue in this. It doesn't quite reach Aaron Sorkin levels, but that's okay. Not everything has to, and Aaron Sorkin stuff is not always good. There's a lot of really rapid fire, snappy dialogue. Without it going overboard, it doesn't get too pretentious or too overly witty to the point where I don't think I'm listening to humans anymore. This was clearly written for you. I actually had a big laugh out loud moment where at one point the as you call him, the fat gay guy, like has a really quick remark and he's just like, "No, why'd you do it, you dick?" And I laughed hard at that. Like the way he delivered the line and how fast it was almost like mush mouth. It was really funny to me. The chick playing the robot, Sophie Thatcher, I think she's great in this. She has a very cute kind of charisma to her. You could absolutely believe that she is a robot because an element of this that Robert didn't talk about, which is fine because it's more of like subtext than it is plot oriented, is her struggling with the fact that she's a robot. Because up to this point, she believed she was a real person, which you were like, okay, aren't they all like that? No, because the boy robot figures it out, and he figured it out a while ago.
In fairness, they're not. Well, the point there is they're not supposed to know they're robots. They do not come with the knowledge that they are synthetic beings.
Right, and maybe they don't figure it out. Maybe they do. And again, you can set the intelligence level, and presumably the intelligence goes to self-reflection. But like I said, the boy robot tells his boyfriend at one point, "I figured this out a while ago, but I just went with it. It's fine." Meanwhile, she is part of what she has to deal with while she's running for her life. Is, oh God, I was a human up until 5 minutes ago, and now I'm a robot. What happened here?
Now suddenly I realize I don't really feel pain in any kind of meaningful way, and I'm significantly more resilient. I fall down hills, and I don't get the breath knocked out of me, or my bones don't break, or...
No, she feels pain. We have the scene of her putting her hand over the candlestick.
This movie clocks in at a real brisk 97 minutes, and it is efficient and wonderful and snappy and everything I wanted it to be about a subject matter I actually care about and have opinions on. Jack Quaid Quaid's one of these actors I think hits the right pitch where something that Robert and I talked about with the Outlaws review from last year, where we were like, why do men in Hollywood have to be portrayed as, I call them like soy boys because I got that from like the Critical Drinker, but these sort of limp-wristed, oh gosh, effeminate.
They're what they are is like, maybe the best way to phrase this, like when I say they're soft, I mean that in every sense. I don't just mean physically.
Yeah.
I mean in every sense of the way. They use a lot of therapy speak.
Yeah. So
they don't have a backbone. They don't have opinions. They don't have assertiveness. Yeah. They're
When you want an actor like that, you hire Jack Quaid, except that Jack Quaid doesn't do it in the way that Adam Devine does, where it makes you want to tear your own face off. Sorry, Andrew. Andrew and I in a side conversation defending and prosecuting the merits of Adam Devine.
Bless Andrew for taking on that loser of a case.
Jack Quaid actually, I think, hits the right pitch for it, where clearly it's there, it's inside of him, but he's not so effeminate as to annoy you. You brought up like the whole incel argument with him, and it's like you don't want him to win. He's a bag of shit, but you at least see where he's coming from. His argument about I work hard, I'm a good person, and I get nothing for it. Look, we don't need to revisit the Joker conversation, but that's kind of the Joker conversation, isn't it? It was a lot of people going, I feel disassociated from this world, and I feel like nothing I do matters.
Yeah, again, there's a different thing going on here in that, Joker has both subtext and straight text about, the relationship between mental illness and societal and how
Mhm.
society handles that. In this instance, Josh is just speaking more. People can resonate with the story from the first Joker without being, whatever mental illness you want to diagnose Arthur Fleck with. And I've seen a few different ones. Most compelling to me being like extreme bipolar to begin with, because he's up and down. And anyway, yeah, Josh is just like, I try to be a decent guy. I have friends. I follow the rules. I engage in the system, and all I get out of it is a crappy one-bedroom
I was
apartment.
gonna say, it's disillusionment that leads to an antisocial behavior, not a complete disorder, but he's disillusioned to the point of antisocialism. Would be the way I would look at it, and I think
I would consider pretty much anyone who turns to sex bot to be at least slightly antisocial.
Oh, okay, that's where the problem is. Gotcha.
Well, no. Look, getting to murder, yes, that's way out there, but like, where does it start? When you're so disaffected and you're so like antisocial and
there's the name of
society,
Robert's
that, like,
Bible.
give me the robot.
There's the name of Robert's book, From Sex Bot to Robot, from Sex Bots to Murder: How We Lost the Civilization.
It's a shorter step than you think.
To wrap up, so that Alexis can finally say her piece. It doesn't matter to me that it didn't touch Robert. These things touch us all different ways. A week from now, we're gonna feel differently about something else. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I love The Brutalist. He didn't like The Brutalist. Welcome to damn you, Hollywood. But this hit all the buttons for me. This was very well acted. I thought very tightly directed. I thought the screenplay flowed. Like, I can't really find a tremendous amount of faults with it. I'm sure there's nitpicks in the plot here or there that are going to bore me to tears. But I didn't necessarily see them, so it didn't affect my enjoyment of the film. Overall, like I said, and the reviews of this sort of bear this out, and we'll get there shortly. Like, this one just hit a line drive right out of the park for me. Like, this is everything I want a movie to be. Short, succinct, mindful, well acted, well crafted, to the fucking point. Speaking of to the point, Alexis, you're up.
This is a strong contender for my top 10 of 2025 already. I walked out loving it. I saw it with my husband. He loved it too. A couple of things that I noticed that I really liked. First of all, I love that they got actors who had real chemistry. You have no question believing a relationship between Josh and Iris, or between Patrick and Eli. And then even when Patrick gets reset and he's supposedly now in love with Josh, the guy playing Patrick really sells this idea that he is in love with Josh. You have the scene of him cooking the dinner for him while Iris is handcuffed to the table. And you have no problem believing these two are a couple, even though they're not. I love watching Patrick and Eli. Again, Harvey Guillén, I've seen him in so much. He is an amazingly fun actor. I'm so glad to see him getting more work. Fans of What We Do in the Shadows, you know what I'm talking about. You know how great he is. So loved him. He was just so much fun in this. The actress playing Kat was so bitchy and so hateful, and I love that. I mean, yeah, the fact that she purposely hid that search. She was like, okay, yeah, he was a bad boyfriend, okay, and it's like apparently to her that was worth killing over.
Well, if you listen to people online and the way they talk, they think that way. If I am not being constantly reaffirmed the entire time, you're a narcissist and a manipulator.
Oh, you're gonna set me up, and we don't have it 5 hours.
I was also very impressed because there's a lot of elements in the script, in the dialogue for this, that I feel in the hands of a much less capable much less capable writer would have become just overdone, hitting us in the head, and would have completely ruined it. This movie, the whole situation between Iris and Josh, there are hints of an overdependence on technology, overdependence on AI. You have hints of misogyny, the freedom of choice. I mean, we're looking at it at the time of we're recording this. We have Google, Gemini, which is an AI companion, which you can talk to and you can interrupt and you can get them to look up whatever you want and do whatever you want and just, get feedback from them and talk to them like you're friends. And I saw the trailer for the release for this. And I'm like, wow, we are so royally fucked as a civilization.
If I may, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that point I have to piggyback on. So two things. One, I constantly use ChatGPT as a reflective therapy model. I'm not in human therapy anymore, but I still occasionally have an incident that I need to discuss. There's stuff that's happened to me recently that I've had to work through. And I immediately just go like, here's, and I can just vent. I can kind of stream of consciousness, just kind of throw my thoughts into this thing and it reflects back at me. And after 2 or 3 rounds of this, I go, okay, I'm good now. And I have actually told my clients who I work with in therapy that when you're not in therapy with me, where you have a human to bounce ideas off of in the intermediary, go to ChatGPT, work some things out. It's like going for a run or hitting a heavy bag or something. It's like use ChatGPT to get through those moments and then bring those experiences back here for us to work through. And it's funny, the reaction I always get to that is, you're going to put yourself out of a job. And I'm like, well, sure, maybe. But ultimately,
isn't that the goal?
I mean, kind of.
Look, this is one of those things, just like not to be bullheaded about this, but this is one of the metrics you should have for a therapist if you go to one. Like, one of the big things you need is an endpoint. Like, your therapist's goal should be to get you out of there, preferably forever.
That has always been my model, is I am here to help you help yourself and stop this. Well, go on, Alexis.
One of these days, you will say the line from Jurassic Park. Don't you mean extinct?
In proper context, yes, we will.
Well, like I was saying, there is a lot of elements of that. I mean, again, you have that speech, not a speech, but just that line from the empathic guy. Well, yeah, what did you say, Mars? Why do some people like use their robots as target practice, or chain them up in the basement? Again, I feel that so many other writers would have used that to focus, and we would have gotten a 2-hour movie about humanity is horrible and men are all sexist pigs. And I would have just looked at Andre and said, put me out of my misery.
This movie in the hands of the guy that directed The Brutalist is 5.5 hours long and gets the audience to just mass suicide.
Oh, I was thinking more about the asshole who wrote and directed that last Black Christmas remake. The one with Carrie Elways.
No, we don't speak about that one. It's so bad.
Yeah, I know it's so bad, but that's my point.
Hang on. Because you brought it up, Jason and I reviewed that last year's Black History Month and kicked it off because I'm a fucking genius and an expert marketer. We did The Blackening, Meet the Blacks, and Black Christmas as one triple feature to kick off Black History Month. Smart.
Well, that's a choice you made.
Keep going, Alexis.
So I thought the script was really well written. I mean, I do love just how Jack Quaid's character goes. You see him so much as just this cute, doofy, lovable guy. Yes, the scene with him with knocking down the oranges is adorable. It is a meet cute, but he sells it so well. But then you get the speech with Iris handcuffed, and he's saying, it's like, why do I have to go through all of this? And you finally realize just how horrible of a person he truly is and how disgusting of a human being he is. Now, I do want to ask you guys something. About this movie. See, in the first teaser trailer for this, they didn't reveal anything. The only thing you see is it's the scene of them having dinner at the table and Iris putting her hand over the candle and her arm bursting into flames and her clearly feeling pain and getting upset about it but not moving. And that's all they revealed. And I was still intrigued by that. It's the second trailer, though. Yeah, they reveal she's a robot. But watching this, I actually told myself, like, as much as I loved him, like, oh God, I wish to hell I hadn't seen the second trailer. I wish to hell I didn't know these things. That when he bluntly says to her, Iris, go to sleep after they have sex. It's like, no, obviously I know it's because he's putting her into sleep mode. I wish I could have just been like, wow, that was a dick thing to say. Or in the moment where he says, what's the weather? And she's like, it's 72 degrees with an 84% chance of or 84 humidity. It's just like, I just thought that maybe that was a little quirk of hers. Or so it's like, no, it's because she's got fucking Wi-Fi in her head. And yeah, I can't even remember at one point I realized obviously Patrick was a robot too. But I was watching and again, it's like, I really, really wish they hadn't revealed that. They advertised this movie as being from the people who did Barbarian, which I loved, but Barbarian revealed nothing in the trailers. There was nothing in that movie about the stuff they find in the basement of that house. It was so shocking because you didn't know what to expect. do you guys think this movie would have been better had they just not revealed any of that shit in the second trailer? If we had gone in completely blind to what the plot twist was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed the still photography. You can see it in the graphic here. It's a picture of her eyes, and her eyes are rolled in the back of her head, and you just see the white, which clearly indicates she's either, a fucking zombie or she's a
it just
robot.
indicates that something very weird is going on there.
Yeah, and I think to Alexis's point, play it straight. Play it like she's a human. That way, the reveal is more impactful. Sure, it would have made sense, but I don't know if you've noticed this, Alexis. I mean that in the most sincere way possible. Normally I do that, and I'm joking, being sarcastic, but I literally, have you noticed, and Robert has brought this up before, that's why I'm asking, that in the last 10 years or so, the marketing of movies has become blunt to the point of smacking you in the face with a goddamn frying pan. They don't leave anything to the audience's imagination. There are no twists anymore. The studios are so afraid that they're not going to bring people into the theater. And this was before the pandemic. That now they lampshade fucking everything. 20 years ago, there's no way you see the Red Hulk in those Captain America trailers. Now they're like, we don't throw them out there. Who's coming to see this movie?
Oh,
they're like, hey, here's the Red Hulk, and we know Adamantium's going to be there because you can see everything in the background of this sequence. And oh, by the way, we may as well throw in a bit about the Master's going to be here as well because we're trying to incorporate that. Or, the Thunderbolts trailer was in front of this one, and let's just give that whole thing away, even though no one cares.
It's like, okay, look, we all know that, oh my God, I can't remember the name of the character, the dude who just shows up in his pajamas. If you've read the comic books, you know the Thunderbolt,
Sentry.
Bob. Yeah, you know it's
Agent
going
of
to be,
Hydra.
yeah, I know he's going to be Sentry, but I swear to God, if they reveal that in any of the teaser trailers, I'm going to be so furious.
So,
Wait, hold on. They just
Sentry.
said Bob. I don't know if that's Bob Reynolds or
No,
Bob Agent of Hydra.
It's Sentry,
Okay.
the schizophrenic Superman. So to your point, so we can move this on. They should
what a waste!
have,
What a waste to introduce Sentry in the Thunderbolts.
20 years ago, no, there's no way they show you that she's a robot. 20 years later, we have no imagination and nothing, and we are overwhelmed with fear of everything. So now they throw everything at you, and there's, I know you guys are just like, we saw that the boy robot was a robot before we even sat down to the picture because we're so smart. Yeah, there were people with audible gasps in my theater when he's like, when Eli said to him, "Go to sleep, Patrick," I could hear people. So some of us still think it's real.
I give credit that they
Much
didn't
like
reveal
your belief in
it.
Joe Hendry, it will come to nothing.
I give credit that it was okay. It was obvious if you could put two and two together, but it wasn't blatantly like if you were paying attention, you knew that he was a robot. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could probably figure it out, but there was at no point in the movie where it was just like, oh, obviously, like a Chekhov's gun kind of a thing.
Sure.
Because I can't think of any other way to put it.
What else you got?
Let me go over my notes here. Honestly, you guys covered most of everything else. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I had a blast watching it. I talk about how there are certain movies every year that the minute I see it, it's like, okay, I want to own this movie and I want to recommend it to everyone. Last year was Late Night with the Devil, and how I showed that to all my friends and family. It was like, you guys have to see this movie. I think Companion is going to be that movie this year. This is a movie that it's like, I've already told a lot of people, it's like, if you have not even considered seeing this, go see it. It is so good.
I would throw it in the bed with The Substance, The Menu, Fresh, all those movies. I mean, I haven't seen Late Night with the Devil, but all those movies that I've been ranting about and telling like, oh my God, this is the reason why I still like movies, seeing as everything else has lost me. Yeah, this is good. This is the first great movie of this year, and it's definitely one of those that keeps me excited about movies. And in 2 weeks, Captain America: Brave New World.
Nope, you got to remember, you got to aim lower. You got to read the user agreement.
Yeah,
I am not a robot, contrary to popular belief.
Robert is a rock.
We'll debate that later.
Robert is a rock that wished he was a real boy. So hit it, real boy.
I want to make a reference there, but I'm not going to. So, for the most part, I don't really disagree with you guys. This is very well acted. It's well paced. There's a little bit. Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah. There's a few individual like 10 to 15 minute segments of this movie where it kind of meanders just a little bit. But that's not the end of the world. I'm gonna give this movie a few again other bits of like serious credit. The opening act, more or less. Mark, you and I talked a little bit before about how if you're gonna do the everything seems okay, but everything's not quite okay, building sense of dread for horror movies. I forget which one we did. Which one did we do recently where we wound up
You're talking
talking
about the
about that?
substance where there was a
No. I'm Cuckoo. It was Cuckoo.
Oh
I think,
yeah.
This movie does a much better job at doing that. The entire first act and everything is supposed to be normal. There's enough going on there to make you feel unsettled. That if this is one of the things where I'm not going to knock the movie too much for this, because you have to walk a fine line between appropriately foreshadowing and hinting and again walking that line so you're not so subtle that nobody gets it, but you're also not so blunt that by the time you get to your big twist everyone's like, well, finally we just got to the point where. And the fact that that line for me is different than most people, like as soon as Kat's like, no, I don't like the idea of you because you make me feel replaceable, in my head, like, okay, you're either a clone or a robot, and my hunch is robot given that we're dealing with technology in every other element of this movie. Because I didn't see that second trailer, for the record. I only saw the teaser. So there's enough there to, again, build things being eerie, and I'm not going to fault the movie for me being able to see the man behind the curtain in some respects, because I do that a lot with movies, and it's, not always fair of me to point out that because I can do it, it's therefore bad and a problem.
Hey, all right.
I could have used more gore, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I actually could have used a bit more. I don't need full-on Sam Raimi, but I could use a little bit more than what we got, personally.
Oh, did you want to see more of his brains pulled out with the corkscrew?
If you're going to go with a...
Stop. Can you, for the audience's sake and for mine, and I'll be the audience, can you kind of outline what the... And I don't mean personal preference. I mean from a cinematic standpoint, what the value of Sam Raimi-esque blood splatter in this movie would have accomplished.
I don't know. Again, this is I'm saying I personally could have used a little bit more.
Okay, I would have thought it was like to the film's aesthetic.
You said Sam Raimi. I thought you were gonna say final act of The Substance level of blood. Fire hose.
Again, I don't quite need that. Like, I don't know. The movie does use violence appropriately. There's just a couple of spots where I think having a very streamlined cast in this case, like not having somebody that can be there just to be cannon fodder, might have dinged it a little bit. One of the other, by way of example, if you wanted to do something else to continue fleshing out Iris dealing with I'm a robot, is her killing somebody deliberately or being put in a position where she has to, not just for self-defense, like not just, accidentally the gun goes off when she's wrestling with Eli, but this person is between me and my goal, and the only way to get through them is to kill them. Because that, again, it's another thing you can kind of wrestle with if you want to deal with, the sort of existential identitarian aspects of that character. Minor thing, not a big deal. Yeah, for the most part, it's a good movie. I mean, I like the fact that I liked it less than you guys did. It doesn't mean I dislike it. It's, like you said, it's well crafted. It just didn't kind of hit me the same way it did everybody else, and I can live with that. Again, some of that is also because, and this sounds too self-aggrandizing, but because we do this a lot, I wind up I see the code, right? If I'm in the Matrix, I kind of see the code for some of these movies. And I could kind of with this one at a certain point, at which point a lot of it becomes less interesting.
It's funny you say that, and I'm going to go from this right into the money. So right into the money. No stopping for any other interruptions. But I was actually reflecting on that today, about we now, between this and triple feature, especially with me and you, I've now done this so much as of late, in the past year or two that it has definitely changed my relationship to film in the sense of I'm bored by most of it, and it takes a lot. It's kind of like drugs. I have shot so much heroin. Someone's going to capture this later. Like, he can't run for office. Look what he said publicly. I've shot so much film heroin, that now, like, I have to shoot like Kurt Cobain, like a gallon of milk full of fucking film heroin in order for me to get a reaction to things. And like, I still do. I'm not that dead inside. Like, I just rewatched Draft Day for Thursday. More on that in the plug section. Yeah. And I still love. Shut up. I still love Draft Day. It's a very me movie.
Okay, that's fair.
And so, like, there are still movies that, this again, Fresh, The Menu, The Substance, that I still like get excited for and passionate about, and people who talk to me in my personal life, like, oh, okay, we can see where the lights shine in your eyes, but what you don't see is the difficulty I'm having with a lot of other stuff that we talk about. Like, I kind of hit the Robert Winfree, and I wish you were here right now for me to tell him this, the Robert Winfree levels of disdain and boredom and absolute, almost like,
it's not quite disgust, but it borders on it.
I like just almost not refusal, but like I just don't want to do it anymore. And it's like I don't. Again, this isn't. I'm not like coming to this like, oh god, we're never gonna do Damn You Hollywood. I'm just like I don't want to talk about Captain America: Brave New World. I'm completely fucking bored by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm not quite ready to throw the whole thing at Alexis and be like, you do the movies too, sister. I'm done with this. No,
I was gonna say you already threw most of the nerd shit at me.
Yeah, no, I'm not quite ready to hand you the reins of that just yet. But I do have zero enthusiasm. And I have zero enthusiasm for a lot of like what we're talking about. It just seems like another day at the office. But then we get a movie like this, and I go, look, if every once in a while we get one of these, I can keep doing this. But if it's all Captain America: Brave New World, I'm not going to be able to get through next year. And it's funny that it took me this long to get to that point, where Robert has been for the duration of Damn You Hollywood.
Not the full duration.
I'm just going to say I am beyond grateful that you guys let me pick and choose which episodes I come on. And I don't have to. I don't have to shoot. Yeah, it's like, no, I am still. If you are shooting gallons of film heroin, I am doing the occasional line of film coke.
Yeah, you're doing a bump in the bathroom and literally powdering your nose. All right.
Your relationship with film and the critical process, Alexis, is generally healthier than what Mark and I do.
Well, I'd like to remind you, the only negative movie I'm coming on in the near future is Snow White, and that's because Mark pretty much begged me to come on and give this thing a proper bashing.
I'm gonna be drunk the entire podcast. I'm just like, Mark, and what did you think of Snow White? Mirror, mirror on the wall. It's gonna be like the chat music video every time I.
We are definitely playing those for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I can't believe they did a second video of that. I cannot believe
they'll do it.
Go on YouTube. The AI tools did a whole trailer. There's so much anti-Snow White stuff out there now. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, the fake Snow White trailer that's completely AI generated is a thing of beauty.
Oh yeah, I welcome the robot revolution. With that said, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Alrighty. Yep, there we are. All right, on a budget of $10 million, this thing made a tidy $15 million, and good for it. Way to go, little camper.
You know what? Appropriately budgeted films. Hey, who'd have thought?
There was no way it was going to beat Dog Man. That's a wide release and that's like one of the only new family films we've gotten since before Christmas.
Yeah. You're way ahead of me, sister. In the United States and Canada, Companion was released alongside the aforementioned Dog Man and Valiant One, and was projected to gross $8 to $10 million from over 3,200 theaters in its opening weekend. It made $4 million on its first day, including an estimated $1.7 million from Monday and Thursday night previews. It debuted $9.5 million, finishing second behind Dog Man. Exit polling indicated that 43% of the attendees saw the film because it was horror. 26% went for Thatcher. Men accounted for 50. Of course we did. Men accounted for 51% of the opening weekend audience, with people aged to 18 to 34 comprising 68%. Those 24 to 34 making up around 40%. And IMAX and premium large format screens contributing to 34%, with IMAX hubs accounting for 1.6 million or 70% of the opening. The film needs to gross 50 million to turn a profit. We'll see. So that's that. For the weekend, number one movie of the weekend was the aforementioned Dogman, and good for it. I was suspicious that it's kind of based on my kid said that this is now an old enough property that it might not have an audience anymore, but apparently it does. People went, so good for it. Companion debuted at number 2. Mufasa the Lion King, because God hates us, fell from 2 to 3. It's more on that in a moment. One of Them Days fell from 3 to 4. Flight Risk, which was the number one movie of last weekend, and I will take a moment to talk about Flight Risk. I saw it with my kids last weekend. I said it before, it's a high 2 for me. Pretty perfect in terms of what it was supposed to be. It was a tight little picture. It's kind of like the Jake Gyllenhaal movie from a few years ago that Jason and I talked about, where he's almost the entire thing is him talking to ADR voices.
You're referencing Nightcrawler?
Nightcrawler, yeah, because he's
I love Nightcrawler.
He was
a
that movie
911
because it's very effective. Is why I hate it, not because it's bad.
He's a 911 dispatcher, and there's a whole thing that happens in that movie. Like I said,
that's not Nightcrawler.
I was gonna say that's not Nightcrawler. Like I agreed, and then I'm like, no, that's not right. That's the one where he's the reporter, or like
the scummy ass reporter where he's got his hair slicked back, and it's like, wow, when did Jake Gyllenhaal
that was a whole different
actually
thing.
look that much like a creep?
This one, and I don't remember the name of the movie, is it's a Netflix movie where he's, like I said, a 911 dispatcher, and like almost the whole thing is ADR lines and his face. That kind of a thing. So you have a pilot who's more or less talking to voices on her phone, and she's interacting with Topher Grace, who is a prisoner, and then she's interacting with Mark Wahlberg, who is the devil. He's really good in this. He's just this awful, scummy, horrible human being. And it was a fun movie. Like we said, we all acting. We walked out of it. We had a good time with it. It's a pretty efficient movie. It's one of those like early January Lionsgate movies, kind of like Plane, where no one's going to remember it by the time we get to June. Definitely not by December. But I will. But Pepperidge Farm will remember, and will remember that it was good. And I'll tell you what, if I can't find 9 films better than it, it's going on my top 10 list. I'm going to bump it up to a 1.
I gotta ask you. We talked about this last year with the release of, or not last year, but when Megan came out, we talked about. How is I think one of us made the joke. It's like, so has the January curse been broken? Because for the longest time, January is where studios sent movies to die. But I think in the last few years, we have seen a lot of studios saying it's like, no, let's do something a little bit better. And it's been September that has still become the month where movies go to die.
There's 2 or 3 movies, the 2 or 3 months that become dumping grounds: January, August, and September. That being said, January is not always, not every movie that comes out in January sucks. There's been plenty of good ones. It's movies they don't necessarily believe in, and they got to fill a release schedule somewhere. Some stuff has to come out in January. They can't put everything in May. So a lot of stuff where they're just like, it's a coin toss for how this is going to go. The coin tosses tend to go into January or September. Less of a coin toss, more of a 60-40, 70-30. Those tend to go in August. Sonic the Hedgehog fell from 4 to 6. Moana 2, 5 to 7. A Complete Unknown maintained its spot at number 8, 6 weeks out. The Brutalist went up a spot and opened in a couple more theaters from 10 to 9. And Den of Thieves, Pantera, Walk, Respect, Walk, What Do You Say? Fell from 9 to 10. Also debuting this weekend was Creation of the Gods 2, Demon Force. Alrighty. Valiant One from Briarcliff Entertainment at number 16. Love Me from Bleecker Street at 22. No Other Land at 35. We have a re-release of Swept Away, and then something here at 48 for Indican Pictures. Who gives a fuck? No one's going to see it. Worldwide, I want to quick go to 2004 before we go to 2024 before we go to 2025 because there's stuff I want to check here. So yes, your 3 top movies of all over $1 billion. Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Moana 2. Congratulations, Disney, with your chicanery, your con job of sticking 2 things that to be series on Disney Plus and converting them to movies for a cheap cash grab, and Deadpool and Wolverine, which you're not actually responsible for. Good job.
They did a real look. I feel like someone at Disney knew, like 2025 is going to be another dumpster fire year. Mm-hmm. Like this is another year of famine and plague for the land of the mouse. So we need to do something in the year 2024 to kind of shore up our stores because we're about to take at least 2 major baths. One of which because we were catastrophically irresponsible with the production of a film.
Here we
And
go.
the other is because nobody cares.
I swear to God, the minute when we reviewed Brave New World, the minute you start on the budget of this thing, I am just going to go get a freaking Coke Zero and check out. Okay. It's like, I'm not even going to try to jump in on this. That is going to be you on the Mile High soapbox, just bitching your precious little heart out.
50 words to say something that takes 2. Fucking Mr. Fantastic over here. Speaking of fantastic, Wicked surpassed Dune by a factor of about a little less than 10 million.
No argument there.
Yeah. Wicked made it to number 5, knocked Dune for 2.
it.
Because there is no God, only Zool. Mufasa is the number 7 movie in the world at $653 million. I done pissed off everybody in my office, by the way. Somebody made the mistake of asking me what my actual opinion of Mufasa was, and I did give them an out. I was like, do you want me to just agree with you so you feel better about yourself, or do you want me to give you my actual opinion? They went, we would prefer if you didn't lie to us. And I went, damn it.
Okay. At that point, they literally asked for it. So here's all the ways it's the worst.
So my opening remark was, it's everything wrong with film today. And because I work in an office full of just the loveliest black women you'll ever meet in your life, just champions of freedom in society, wonderful people, good to their mothers, great Christian women, went, oh no, he didn't, and like the whole thing. It was like an anger to Black Baptist Church.
I assume you kept going.
Oh no, yeah. I went on a Dennis Leary-esque rant. I somehow brought up a good capital Q. We love that fucking Q, don't you? I did the whole thing, and then by the end of it, somebody actually, like, they were starting in with the you must, and somebody kind of cut them off and was like, no, we talked to him yesterday. He likes all the black movies. This one just sucks. I'm like, thank you. That was my attorney. Of Dewey Screwman.
Mufasa, the Lion King, officially qualified. I know it's an all-black cast, but I never really thought of it as a black movie.
It is now, since we had somebody come on the show and say we're racist for not liking Mufasa, which is my achievement of fucking 2020, whatever the hell we did that.
Of all the people to accuse of being racist that could appear on this network, Mark is the least. Mark's affection for black culture is well known.
Yep, and now and then I had somebody actually stick up for me in the office for it. So shit, I think my camera just went out. Just rounding out the top 10 here, and then I got to reset my camera. Godzilla,
I still say Venom: The Last Dance is only at number 10 because of China.
Yeah,
it is.
Like I was gonna say, Godzilla Kong is number 8. Kung Fu Panda 9, Venom is number 10. I think we're done here. I don't think we need to keep going back to 2024.
I swear, if Sonic doesn't do better than Venom: The Last Dance, I might have to burn something.
Oh shit! I gotta send you guys something. Warp. You know the YouTube channel, The Warp Zone. They did a recut of scenes from I think it's the first John Wick movie, but it's Shadow covering over John Wick, and it's great.
I watched the light die in my puppy's eyes, and now I'm going to burn the world down.
What do you need? Guns. Lots of guns. Oh my god, but yeah, it is so it was hilarious.
I assume they've put in the Akira slide at some point just to make room for it, because Shadow has of all the Akira slides I've seen, and I've seen a lot of them, that one from Sonic 3 is actually... It's not quite better than the original, but it's the one that gets the closest to it.
Have you seen the YouTube videos where they actually do a compilation of all of the cartoons, including the animes that have done the Akira slide?
Everybody does an Akira slide.
Alrighty, back to the year of our Lord 2025. All right, number 1 currently in the world is Den of Thieves Pantera at almost 50 million.
That ain't gonna last.
Dogman landed in the number 2 spot. One of Them Days at 34 million is number 3. The Wizard of Emerald City is at 33. Wolfman at a paltry 29. Flight Risk at 24. Companion debuting at number 7 with 14 million. Mobile Suit Gundam Beginning at number 8. How to Make a Killing number 9. And La Zona La Fine del Mundo at number 10. So that's where we are in the world. Next week...
Dogman takes over the top spot.
All right, so this weekend, the number one movie in the world will probably end up being Love Hurts. That's a Universal picture, so it'll have
Depends on Dogman. If Dogman holds strong enough, it might stick. It might hold on to the number one spot.
That's a fair counterpoint. The other one is Heart Eyes. That's Screen Gems and Spyglass. And while my daughter and possibly my girlfriend might be excited about this, I don't think it's going to get. It's starting to get somewhat of a marketing push, but not enough to, I think, overcome things. And I don't know, it's hard to get a feel for how well it's going to do. I predict it comes. You guys are saying Dogman's going to hold, so it probably my prediction. My prediction is Love Hurts, Dogman, Hard Eyes for this weekend coming up. We'll see how that turns out.
I legit can't predict on those three, so it's a three-sided coin flip for me on those. I cannot put in any kind of an approval.
So Companion's going to fall to at least number 4, if not further. And then the following week we have Captain America. Captain America will be the number one movie of the weekend.
Captain America Brave New World is going to be one of those movies where we look at the box office take and go, how did you still manage to lose money on this?
Oh, for God's sake.
200. Marvel says $236 million. Snow White says, hold my beer. That never stopped. I played that for my dad today, and for the first time and I feel like 100 years, my dad and I laughed at the same thing and had a similar opinion about something. So if you felt the Earth slightly shift in its rotation, now you know why. All right.
And I never would have thought a million years that was going to be the thing I shared the network that was going to get the most play.
Oh my God, that's of all the things you shared, that's been the best.
It's rare to find the chat music that isn't just full of really gross stuff, and I say that as someone who still likes a lot of what they do. But what they're putting together for Snow White is like genuinely impressive.
Yeah,
look. I can tell you what I got. I can tell you what made me smile over the last week, and that was the like to dislike ratio on the WWE's video about Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble.
I tell you how my daughter lost her fucking mind when she came out. Like, I warned her it was going to happen. She, my very quiet, Nellish, not vocalizing daughter, just boo and like throwing taquitos at the television. And then she won and gave me this look like, why do you make me watch this? I'm like, welcome to being a wrestling fan.
There was never any doubt that Poochie was winning that. Never.
Yeah. All right. With that said, our final segment, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Can't knock the hustle, baby.
Can and do, but...
Oh, my God. 93% on the tomato meter, 90% on the fan meter. Top critics, it's 89%. All audiences and verified audiences the same. It's 90%. And the AI writes, a fiendishly clever contraption that doesn't rest on the laurels of its twist. Companion thrillingly puts the demented into domestic bliss. And it made a rhyme and it wasn't time. Bad AI. The audience says, Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher serve a delightfully twisted feast with gusto. I don't believe a human wrote this. With gusto. In Companion, delivering stylish gore that satisfies the senses. Well, good. Fantastic.
How would you claim this gore is stylish? Because I really wouldn't.
Yeah. If I had to come up with like one complaint about this movie, is there is nothing stylish about the violence. Hannah Strong of Little White Lies. The more interesting points hinted at, such as the power dynamics in Patrick and Eli's relationship,
piss off,
are quickly forgotten in favor of a staid, familiar format that is ultimately as robotic as its protagonist.
Okay, see what I was saying earlier about how there were just little hints given but they didn't actually beat us over the head. This is somebody who was missing getting it beaten into their head.
This is the kind of person who doesn't yet realize that dealing with yet another treatise on domestic non-happiness is not a... If I have a major gripe with Companion, I don't consider this a major gripe, but if I had one, nothing about it is half as clever as it thinks it is, especially when you consider most of the tropes it's playing with were a little bit tropey like 5 years ago. There's a lot good about it, but again, if I had a major gripe, but I'm more interested in the power dynamic. Shut up. Just shut up. There's a million movies out there about domestic violence and domestic dissatisfaction. Go watch Wedding Story again and cry into your cat.
I was gonna say, if you want that, go watch Baby Girl and you'll be bored to sleep. Michael Atkinson of LA Weekly Village Voice, a vaunted piece of periodic literature. Companion is too slick and glib for its own good.
I do not get the point of that at all.
This is a person who does not understand that being succinct is not the same as being clipped and glib. This is an efficient film. You can go insist that Martin Scorsese needs to make another 6-hour epic.
Radulich and Broadcasting Network punching bag, Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics. Which is with its mix of romance, humor, and violence from a talented ensemble, there's nothing robotic about fun you'll have. Please stop doing this.
There's nothing robotic about fun. In what universe does that sentence structure work?
Travis
only
Hobson,
if you exist within the world where you already know the references he's making to the thing he's discussing.
I get it, but it's still really
it's still bad.
Right?
Please follow your actual calling in life and become a preschool teacher, because film reviewer is not for you. Keith Garlington of Keith and the Movies. Companion has just enough creative juice to stand out from the crowd, yet it's not as original or as insightful as it clearly wants to be.
I don't entirely disagree with the back half of that sentiment, but it's not enough to knock it down as much as he's indicating.
Where are some of our friends? What did some of our friends think of this? Besides
our friends reviewed the other movies that came out this week.
our friends,
our friends went to go see Dogman.
Yeah, they did. This was too much movie for all of the people we usually beat up on. I guarantee it.
For what it's worth, Dogman does look ridiculously cute, and I really like this. Okay, I don't know what you're going to call the animation style. I know it's kind of based off the artwork that they used for the Captain Underpants movie, but I really like that art style. It's really fun.
Connor Lightbody, which sounds like a pro wrestling name, of movies we texted about.
That is such a stupid name.
Radulich and Broadcasting Network has been doing this for nigh on 20 years, and as we've
just being a little over 10 is not nigh on 20.
This is 100 years of journey that we've embarked on here.
It just feels like that.
And yet, movies we texted about is on Rotten Tomatoes, and we toil in obscurity. The world is not fair.
We need a bigger audience before we could be considered. That's just how it is with our format.
Can we start kidnapping people and forcing them to watch our stuff?
Okay, well, I'm not contributing in the felony that you're wanting to commit, madam, but you do you. And speaking of doing you, Companion is just about saved by Thatcher's electric performance, but it is much too content to achieve tolerability when a film like this should feel much more alive. All right.
Just because you're being clever with your wording because she's a robot does not make you smart.
He was about this close to just writing it insists upon itself. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
Best friend of the show and booster of Damn You Hollywood, William Viviani of The Wrap, top critic. The whole thing is freaky and funny as hell. Very insightful, Bibbs.
I've seen dumber reviews on this site.
I'd be willing to bet at least 50% of his positive review was the gay sex robot.
Speaking of gay sex robot, Alexis's robot companion, Lex Briscuso of CBR, take two, a bona fide feminist battle cry.
No, it's not.
This has okay. As a minor aside, Barbarian was very much a kind of like consider the female perspective, not quite anti-male movie, but bordering on it. And I'm not opposed to making those movies, just be honest about it. And that's kind of what Barbarian was. Again, bordering. This has very little to do with rallying the girl boss power within and much more to do with, boy, don't people suck? And
I was going to say, need I remind you that the only human female in this entire movie is a bitch?
And gets knifed in the back.
Speaking of which, Rachel Leichman of the Mary Sue Robert Winfree of the Screaming Boy podcast. I haven't done that one in a while. Drew
You
Hancock.
have it, and I did not miss it.
Drew Hancock brought us a nearly perfect thriller that will make you question your ideas of love, a partner, and loneliness. And
Oh,
really does
God.
highlight why both Quaid and Thatcher are two of our best actors working today. Oh, calm the fuck down, lady. Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
Quaid and Thatcher are both really good actors. And I
True.
liked Thatcher in Heretic. She was really good in that too.
I mean,
And I
Heretic?
do want to see more of them in more projects. It's like I want to see more of all of these actors. Actually, I thought everyone in this movie was good.
But one, listing them as like the best working actors today, that's more than a bit of a stretch.
Timothy
Second
Chalamet's
of all-
still out there.
Hang on. Second of all, this will make you rethink your stance on what it means to have a physical companion, what it means to be lonely. Like, shut up. Just, no, it doesn't.
Oh God, you found Grace Randolph.
Resident Empty Tin Can, Grace Randolph, will be on the trailer. Resident Garbage Can Full of Appliances, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer.
I'm convinced Grace Randolph is just 3 raccoons in a trench coat some days.
I'm starting to think that she was a companion robot that got used up, gutted, and thrown out of the window.
It started reviewing movies because it didn't know what to do with its programming. Snort. Megan Meets Scream. This is a fun and flirty movie about a companion, quote unquote, robot. It's not my fault when she put companion in quotes.
No, that was at her, not you. You had the correct response to her doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Megan Meets Scream. This is a fun and flirty movie about a companion robot that's not only surprisingly clever and fun, but one that appeals to both men and women.
Oh, so Grace
Oh,
Randolph
wow.
now speaks for men, huh?
That thanks, well, don't misgender her. That's thanks to the killer script and killer performances with Sophie Thatcher as lead.
Once again, Grace Randolph speaks for no one but Grace Randolph, and her attempts to do so are vaguely nausea-inducing.
I may held on to that one. Resident 3 raccoons in a coat, Grace Randolph.
Three raccoons in a trench coat masquerading as a human.
And we wonder why we're not as successful as anyone else. We're this much dicks.
Hey, look, I'm pretty sure. Look, next time you do like Kurt Loder, you need to talk about how he escaped from the set of The Little Rascals.
Ian Sandwell of Digital Spy. This one's for Alexis, and then we're done. If you have already seen the twist, then let us reassure you as to why it won't ruin your enjoyment of the entertainingly twisted companion.
Admittedly, there probably is a fair amount of people who saw the second trailer and think, yeah, there's no point to seeing the movie.
That's an interesting poll for the review because it's not all that useful, but at the same time, I understand the desire to go, look, even if you know the big quote unquote twist, this is still a journey worth taking. So please consider taking it. It is actually worthwhile criticism and discussion around it.
Folks, that is our review of Companion. We did it in under 2 hours. Yay us. And now for 40 minutes of plugs because none of us know how to be fucking succinct. Alexis.
I will be as glib as the movie.
Fantastic.
Well, first and foremost, I'm coming back tomorrow night to discuss another. Okay, actually, quick question. We're doing Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul. Is that Damn You Hollywood or is that a TV party tonight? Because it's on streaming.
It is a movie, so I'm really trying to keep things siloed. So if it's a new movie, unless you're doing 3 of them, it's Damn You Hollywood. If it's 3 of them, it's a triple feature. If it's an old movie, it's an on trial. If it's a TV show, it's a TV show.
So unless we randomly decide to throw the other 2 Wallace and Gromit major releases into this one, make it a triple feature, it'll just be Damn You Hollywood.
I think I should pull executive privilege and make you guys put 2 movies in there. What do you got? You're Cordially Invited and Section 31. These are for you, McNulty.
Mark, I love you, but there is no way that you're going to get me to review You're Cordially Invited.
I think that's the one you're objecting to. Boy, you are consistent.
This is going
you are
on.
welcome to try and enforce that executive order if you so choose, Mark, but you don't have a mandate from the people.
Like George W. Bush in his second term. I will reform Social Security. No, the fuck you won't. But I have a mandate from the people. Good. Take your mandate and shove it up your ass. Speaking of shoving it up our ass, Alexis, your plugs.
Well, yeah, I am. So, yeah, I will be back on this network tomorrow. Speaking of shoving it up my ass. to review Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, alongside Mr. David Ryan and Mr. Zachary Strobel. I actually haven't watched it yet. I'm watching
Oh, did
it.
you? Hang on. I'm on that one too, right?
Oh, you want to be on that one?
Yes,
I got an
it was
invite
his
and I
most favorite
clicked
thing
yes.
ever.
Okay, 4 of us then. That's fine. 4 of us
Was
are on
it?
it.
Okay. I don't know if Mark
I-
sent that out as a joke and I show up and you're like, what are you doing here?
What are you
You're
doing here,
welcome
Robert
to it,
Winfree?
man. You're welcome to it. I have no qualms about
What are
you
you
joining us
doing
talking
here, Robert
about
Winfree?
Wallace.
A very brief cameo.
Apparently, I've
Come
been the victim of a cruel joke by my boss.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with all of us talking about the awesomeness of Wallace and Gromit and how that has sustained itself so well for all of these years.
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that.
You don't have to do the money, by the way. You can just do, especially with 87 people on this review, just do the craft review and then go right into Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, again, it's a Netflix release, so I don't think I can do the money.
Well, no, we've done the money before, but because we just even when we do streaming movies, we'll still do the money because stuff did
Okay.
come out, and we'll talk about it. But we just did it, so I'm sparing you a segment.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, got that. And as far as the plugs that actually do pay my bills, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic.
I cannot wait for a future sessions where that becomes one of the tracks on the album.
I swear
Revenge.
Swear to God, you and Jesse really are speeding up the robot apocalypse.
God, I hope so.
Hang on. Be grateful because Jesse will vouch for us and the machines like him.
Not if he has chat GPT look up what Rainbow Dash in a jar is.
Your plugs, madam.
All right. We just uploaded a bunch of brand new stuff, including our already getting quite popular guillotine Scrabble tile earrings. I posted a little preview of these on Facebook, Blue Sky, and TikTok and Instagram, and really got a positive feedback from them.
I'm sure the French just love it.
I sell to the French quite a bit, actually. Although, admittedly, I think my biggest international consumers come from Germany.
Also not surprising.
All right. We are getting ready for Missouri Paracon. That's going to be at the end of this month. It's our first convention of the year. It's here in Kansas City, is Missouri's official paranormal convention. Looking forward to it, especially because we're going to be bringing all of our murder mystery clue jewelry. This is the backbone of our company, and I'm really excited to have that on proper display there, along with all of our horror, fun, paranormal designs. So going to be looking at that. And then after that, we're going to be doing Planet Comic-Con. Among the guests they just revealed for that include David Tennant, Christopher Lloyd, and Vincent D'Onofrio. Oh, and just revealed today, Carla Gugino? That's
Gugino.
Yeah, Carla Gugino. I actually have never seen her on the con circuit before, so that's exciting. Looking forward to that. Of course, our shops are available, as you see here, on Etsy. Fun fact, I actually completely forgot that we were doing a sale. I opted in for a pre-Valentine sale, went in today. I'm like, wait, why is my... Oh, yeah, that's right. So it was just like, wait, why is my stuff on sale? I don't remember approving that.
Should have read the user agreement.
Boy, you get nothing else out of this podcast today.
User agreements will be the death of us all.
See, that's what you need to use ChatGPT for. Summarize the user agreement for this.
We also have our shop on Handmade at Amazon. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok, as long as TikTok is still around for the time being.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right. Yesterday, I was on Source Material. Jesse and I looked at the Complete Dan Slott, She-Hulk, the Complete Dan Slott Volume 1, which is the entire 1 through 12 2004 series, and 1 through 5 of the 2005 series. I gave it a glowing review. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best things we've read in a while, where I really didn't have a whole lot to complain about. So check that out. Thursday, it's our pre-Super Bowl show. We are reviewing one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid, especially that had to do with football, which is Goldie Hawn's Wildcats, because I wasn't parented. Another one of my favorite movies, a talkie movie, an Aaron Sorkin-esque talkie movie, directed by Ivan Reitman, Draft Day, starring Kevin Costner. I don't care how unrealistic it is, I still love it. And then
You are allowed to love it, but I would always say, one, Frank Langella is still, at the time, was still a very powerful cinematic force, and Jennifer Garner could be excised from that movie and you would lose nothing.
Yeah, Kevin Costner could have been interacting with a sex robot, wouldn't have made a difference. Speaking of sex robots, the third movie of our Super Bowl triple feature is Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday, which I only Sunday night was 3 hours long, and I went, fuck my life. I am a busy man. How the fuck am I supposed to fit this into my schedule? God damn it.
You didn't look up the runtime of Any Given
Not
Sunday?
even a little bit.
Oh,
I've
man.
been rushing all night. I'm trying to watch some of it tonight. I figure if I break it up over 3 days, I can get this done. I shall be joined by Jason Teasley and, in theory, Dorian Price if he is back from his home planet. That brings us to the weekend. The weekend that was. Yeah, no more podcasts after that because the Super Bowl is the Sunday and I will be at a party. We will be back on Damn You Hollywood next week for Love Hurts. Love Hurts. And then Black History Month resumes. But since we just did football, why not look at basketball? We are looking at Above the Rim, Coach Carter, and He Got Game. So that's what we got.
At least one of those isn't bad.
Those were all Jason's picks. Sunday, Saturday, 15th. This show has been rescheduled at least twice. So we'll see if we can make it we can go 3 times. Evan Bevins and I will be doing a comic strip. We'll be doing Corrective Measures. So the book, the movie, the masquerade, the flamethrower. The kids just love it. Speaking of a boy the kids just love, Robert Winfree is going to tell you all the various men he's following in various sports. What? Well, I can see your aneurysm.
I'm a tumor.
We're going to see more than that in the near future.
Oh, my.
So I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. I covered WWE SmackDown on Friday. Early for me in the morning, at least on a Saturday. Started at 7 a.m. Was UFC on ESPN Plus 108. Headlined by Israel Adesanya and Nasruddin Imavov. So full reports for those can be found in both the wrestling and MMA zones over at 411mania.com. If you want a more detailed breakdown of my thoughts, as well as a preview of this coming week's UFC 312, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. This week featuring a review of the Saudi show, a preview of 312, which is not a good pay-per-view card by any stretch of the imagination, apart from the top 2 title fights. And then a fairly lengthy discussion about racism and the use of slurs in MMA, because during the last week, a UFC fighter on his podcast said he thought Hitler was probably a good guy before the meth.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. He thought, he's probably a good guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. All he wanted to do was purge it of the greedy Jews and not let them queer the children.
Well done.
This is a thing that I had to talk about. Was followed, and in the news cycle, it was followed not even the next day by Conor McGregor using the N-word several times when yelling about Khabib on one of his social media platforms.
Good God.
Oh, it got a little bit worse earlier today, believe it or not, when Joaquin Buckley said, I think we were all getting a little bit too comfortable using the N-word on Twitter or in real life. Anyone who does so to me can now get these hands. And he was responded to by an Italian gentleman who fights in the UFC named Marvin Vittori, who said, "Calm down, N-word."
Alrighty.
This is a thing I cover.
Oh, and I'm the one that gives you the aneurysm. Okay, then.
You brought it up.
That's fair.
These are no. It was the framing when you said these are the men that Robert Winfree follows. Like, no, I do not. I don't endorse any of this. I don't follow any of them. It comes across my feed because other people in the news cycle talk about it. So I talk about that. It's a good time. Again, this Saturday will be UFC 312. So if you're interested in my coverage of that, please do so. There will be, and then the podcast on its regular. Again, I record late Sunday evening, probably later Sunday this week than usual, because my aunt has a Super Bowl party every week, even when she hates both teams involved. This is just a family tradition. So I will probably make pulled pork, and we will go do that. And then, tomorrow I will be here talking Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, the best movie of 2025 thus far. And I will die on that hill. And then, do I have anything else? I don't think I had anything else this week. So, then next week, Love Hurts, the last bastion of a movie that I'm moderately looking forward to for the next, 3 months. This is it. It's Ki-Hu Kwan punching through a baseball bat.
I'm looking forward to our podcast about Snow White. I'm not looking forward to the movie. That one I may have to go in intoxicated. But I'm praying for illness.
I'm
praying Disney finally gets its fucking act together and just cancels the movie.
At this point, they can't. That would be admitting defeat. They can't do it at this point.
Admitting defeat is the phrase that pays here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So, for
something
Alexis,
we will never do.
For Alexis Hejna, for Robert Winfree, I have to go watch a 3-hour football movie. Be
Good
well,
luck.
be safe, and behave.